Hi, so I wanted to make a video about what's stopping you from, allowing into your life the things that you want and you feel are meant to be there. So a lot of the time it's this inner charge, which is basically um like we can call it wounds. It's things that we've experienced in our lifetime that are like big fears, big triggers, and really when they're hit and they're targeted, rather than seeing them as enemies, really we need to start seeing them as, thanks for showing me why I don't have this in my life. Because actually when you don't have them, like, they mostly come up as anger and blame and a projection on somebody else. He's not committing. He's done this to me. He's done this. Or like a victim mentality. I don't have this because of blah, 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 blah. And they'll kind of create this anger. But anger is really like a cover up for feeling sort of pain. So if you feel angry about something, it's because you feel because it's painful for you. And so if you dig beneath the anger and try and work out what those core wounds are, so if you work out like, yeah, I'm angry at him because of this, and you acknowledge that, and then you bring it back to yourself and you mirror it and you say, okay, so how is that making me feel? Because that's all that matters. It doesn't actually matter what anyone else is doing, because they're only doing stuff because you have a charge to it, like an inner charge, and you're attracting it because you fear it and you're creating it. And so all that matters is the sooner you can forget, like, he did this is useful. There is a useful element to that saying. Like, he really upset, like annoyed me because he did that. It's important to acknowledge it, because without that you can't actually understand why it's showing up. But it needs to be dropped like as quickly as you can possibly get out of it. And some things are harder to take ownership from than others. But then when you've managed to take ownership, it's then like, okay, I'm angry at him because of this. Why am I upset? And then it's finding those core words of why you're upset. And if it's because someone's not committing to you, that's actually not the core. The core wound isn't that someone's not committing to you. You can still mirror that and look at where you're not committing to yourself. But generally the feeling will be that you don't feel seen, or you don't feel valued, or you don't feel like acknowledged, or you don't feel, valued is probably one of the key words there. And so then it's like, where am I not valuing myself? And then you can start to get somewhere with your healing and try and neutralize. And there's various ways of doing that. You can just feel into it, you can acknowledge it, you can look at other areas in your life where you're not valuing yourself. And sometimes I think it is always an inner change. All you need to do is make the inner change and recognize it. But sometimes making a physical change can help that inner change, like putting your rate up or asking for a rise can sometimes actually help your inner energy, I've found, to get into that valued state. But you have to kind of neutralize it a bit first, else you're just going to go and then get it rejected and then make you feel even worse. So generally it's doing the inner change first before you try to make the change in the external world. Otherwise you'll end up like coming up against your block. And that's okay, because you've just been shown it's still there, but it can sort of make you feel disempowered and kind of go backwards a bit. So yeah, if you don't have it, you can manifest instantly. Like, I manifested something really, really instantly with my specific person. It's a thing that some people get really, really triggered about, but I just don't. I don't know why that is, but I just don't have like a problem with it. But I just decided that actually, I kind of wanted my person to stop doing it, because I felt like it would just be a higher vibrational thing for them not to do it anymore. So I just casually said it when it came up in conversation with a friend, totally irrelevant, just casual conversation. So I thought in my mind, I'm just gonna manifest my person to like stop doing it. And then when we were speaking the other day, he said, oh, I mentioned it because I was just intrigued as to like a bit more information about how he saw this thing. And he said, "Oh, I don't do that anymore. I actually stopped doing it." And I realized pretty much to the day when I set that little light-hearted manifestation. But the thing is, I set the manifestation thinking, "Oh, this would be an ideal," but it really doesn't bother me, like whether he does it or not. And so it happened. Literally, must have been within days. However, if I'd have been like, "Oh, I really don't want to do this anymore," and it was like upsetting me and I was really angry about it, then it would continue. So if something isn't happening, it's that like inner charge that you have to heal. It's the wound. It's showing up because you have a reaction to it. So it's this, and after you've gotten rid of like the anger and the pain, you'll feel it as like an inner, well, I do anyway, it's like a burning inside, like a charge, like I call it a charge. And it's really what's just getting in the way. So it's a really positive thing because it's showing you what is stopping you from all the things that you really dream and desire in life. But you know, to remove the block, you have to really like acknowledge it as yours, not project it anymore, and just say, you know, this is my wound, and I'm creating from my wound, and I'm getting experiences that I don't want because this is attracting them. And if you can neutralize it so it's no longer like there's no reaction, then you can pretty much manifest instantly. I've noticed, you know, like that will show up. So the main work is just seeing your charges, taking ownership for them, and, you know, working through them. Okay, so hope that helps.